It happened faster than I could process. Claire, my wife of 12 years, had just been announced as the new CEO of our company, a position she worked for relentlessly. Decades of late nights, strategic moves, and sacrifices that no one outside her inner circle could ever understand. I was proud, incredibly proud, but that pride didn't prepare me for what came next. She handed me a thick envelope in our office, her hands shaking slightly, her face pale, almost unreadable. "I've made a decision," she said softly. My heart skipped. What is it?" She took a deep breath, avoiding my eyes. "I'm filing for divorce." The words hit me like a thunderclap. The room spun. My mind raced. Divorce? Right now? Right after she reached the peak of her career, the moment she'd been fighting for since she was 25? "Claire, why?" I choked. She shook her head. "It's not you, it's me. I need freedom, my life, my destiny. This company. It doesn't belong to me yet, and I can't be tied down." I felt nausea, confusion, and an overwhelming sense of something hidden, something she wasn't telling me. Because this wasn't Claire, the woman who loved, fought, and committed. She wasn't the one to just walk away, especially at the pinnacle of her dreams. I needed to know why, and that's when I realized she didn't know the full truth about the company. I had two choices. One, let her leave and never know the danger that lurked behind her success. Two, follow her, investigate, and reveal the hidden threat before it was too late. Ignoring it wasn't an option. Her ambition had put her in the spotlight, and someone was already watching, someone who wanted more than just her position. I promised myself I would uncover the truth, even if it meant risking everything. The following week, Claire's office was buzzing. Employees congratulated her. Press releases went public. Investors smiled. To the outside world, everything was perfect. To me, it was a powder keg waiting to explode. I remembered a conversation with a longtime colleague of hers. A whisper of warning. Claire's got talent. Smart, fearless. But she's stepping into a legacy that isn't just about profits. There are things buried deep in this company. Things her predecessors never revealed she doesn't know yet, and some people would kill to keep it hidden. The words had seemed like idle gossip back then. Now, they felt like a prophecy. I couldn't ignore it. She had no idea what awaited her inside the company's darkest corners. That evening, I returned home and found Claire scrolling through her phone. She smiled, unaware of the shadow that had begun following her. I tried to warn her casually. "You know, sometimes climbing that high comes with complications." She laughed lightly. "Complications are part of the job. I can handle it." I saw the determination in her eyes, but also the naivety of someone who didn't know the real danger lurking behind the shiny titles and glossy press releases. I knew I couldn't tell her directly yet, not without proof. The next morning, as she prepared for a board meeting, I was checking emails from our company server. Not to invade her privacy, just to verify security protocols. But one email made my blood run cold. Subject, "The CEO doesn't know. Make sure she never finds out." No sender name, no signature, just those chilling words. My fingers froze over the keyboard. It wasn't a prank, it wasn't a mistake. Someone had deliberately sent this to the company's internal email system. And the target was Claire, her inbox? Empty. She hadn't read it yet. I had seconds to act. I faced a choice. Tell her now, risk terrifying her and making her feel trapped. Or track the threat silently, find out what it was, and reveal it only when we could act. I chose the second. I had to protect her from a danger she didn't even know existed, because once she knew, there would be no turning back. And I couldn't risk her leaving the company or me before we were ready. So I decided to follow her movements, monitor communications, and investigate the shadow behind the scenes of the company she had just become CEO of. Little did I know, the first clue would lead me to a secret far darker than anyone could imagine. The morning after the mysterious email, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the words in my head. The CEO doesn't know. Make sure she never finds out. It was deliberate, personal, dangerous. I tried to brush it off, telling myself it could be a prank or a phishing attempt, but instinct screamed otherwise. Someone in the company wanted Claire to be blind to the danger, and if I wasn't careful, the consequences could be catastrophic. I started small. I monitored her emails through the company server, not to spy, but to track any suspicious activity. I noticed encrypted messages arriving early each morning, deleted immediately after opening. Whoever was behind this knew exactly how to cover their tracks. Next, I observed office behavior. Certain executives started acting differently, offering unsolicited help, standing too close during meetings, their eyes too alert, too calculating. Claire, unaware, navigated her new position with brilliance and grace. But I could see she was being manipulated. The signs were subtle but deadly. One evening, I stayed late at the office to cross-check the email logs. That's when I saw him, a figure I didn't recognize. Tall, suited, with sharp eyes scanning the floor. I watched as he approached Claire's office under the guise of delivering reports. She greeted him warmly, completely unaware. I moved closer, keeping low, and overheard snippets. As long as she remains unaware, everything goes according to plan. Don't let anyone interfere. My blood ran cold. The man wasn't here for mundane office business. He was here for Claire. I followed him out of the office building, careful to remain unseen. He walked to a parked black sedan, made a call, and spoke in urgent, hushed tones. She's smart, she's cautious. But she doesn't know yet. No mistakes. The CEO must stay in the dark. The words left no doubt. Claire's rise to CEO had put her directly in harm's way. I snapped a few discreet photos for evidence, careful not to alert him. I didn't even realize my hands were shaking. I knew I couldn't handle this alone. I contacted Jordan, Claire's closest friend and CFO, who had always been suspicious of the older executives. Jordan, I said quietly in the parking lot, I think someone in the company is planning something dangerous. Claire doesn't know it yet. You need to trust me. Jordan's eyes widened. You're serious? I showed him the emails and the photos I'd taken. Jordan swallowed hard. She's being set up. I've felt it too. Some of the board members, they never wanted her as CEO. They thought she'd fail. I nodded. It's more than sabotage. Someone wants to manipulate her. Maybe even remove her from the company entirely. And they're hiding it under layers of secrecy. Jordan looked around nervously. We have to warn her, but carefully. If she suspects, they might accelerate their plan. That night I decided to confront Claire, not with threats, but with careful guidance. Claire, I said gently as she sipped her evening tea, there's something you don't know about the company, about some of the people around you. She looked at me, puzzled. What do you mean? I can't explain everything yet, not openly. But I need you to be careful. Some executives don't have your best interests at heart. Watch your emails, watch your meetings, and most importantly, trust your instincts. She frowned, placing the cup down. Daniel, are you saying someone wants to hurt me? I hesitated. Yes, and I think it's more serious than we realize. Her face paled, but she nodded. I trust you. What do we do? I explained the need to monitor without alerting the perpetrators. We set up a subtle tracking system for suspicious emails and activity, and I volunteered to stay close during critical board meetings. 2 days later, the first overt warning appeared. A package arrived at her office. Unmarked, no return address. Inside, a single USB drive. Claire picked it up, curiosity mixed with unease. I don't recognize this, she said. I intervened. Don't plug it in. It could be a trap. Viruses, malware, maybe something worse. Let me check it first. Reluctantly, she handed it over. I connected it to a secure, isolated system. Inside were spreadsheets names, dates, financial transactions, and a single note. If you continue without following instructions, everything you've worked for will disappear. I froze. This was no longer subtle threats. This was a direct warning. Claire looked at me, eyes wide. What does this mean? I swallowed hard. It means someone in this company wants to control you, or remove you if you don't comply. And they're serious, her jaw tightened. I won't be intimidated, she said. But I need to know. Who? I didn't have an answer yet. But one thing was clear, the game had begun and someone already had the first move. The next morning, I positioned myself to observe boardroom interactions closely. I attended meetings under the pretense of assisting Claire with company research, while scanning for suspicious behavior. It didn't take long to notice anomalies. Executives whispering when Claire turned away. Sudden changes in agenda items. A few key employees avoiding eye contact during discussions. Each detail was subtle, but together, they formed a pattern. Someone was orchestrating moves behind the scenes to manipulate her, perhaps even sabotage her leadership. I realized then the danger wasn't just financial, it was personal. Somewhere in the shadows, someone powerful wanted Claire out, and if I didn't act fast, they would strike before she even knew. Claire's rise to CEO triggered hidden enemies. Mysterious emails, anonymous warnings, and suspicious executives point to a shadowy threat. Daniel begins protecting Claire while investigating. Tension escalates as the first overt threat, USB plus warning, appears. The following morning, the atmosphere in the office felt heavier. Claire, now fully aware that someone was targeting her, carried herself with caution, but her brilliance shone through. Every decision she made was measured, strategic, and calculated. I stayed close, observing, analyzing every interaction. Every smile, every nod, every whispered word could be hiding danger. During a weekly board meeting, the subtle manipulation became undeniable. One of the senior executives, Marcus Whitfield, a man with a long tenure and considerable influence, suddenly suggested a radical restructuring of the company. A restructuring that would give him far more power and effectively sideline Claire. I noticed the other board members' expressions. Nervous glances, forced smiles, hesitation. They were waiting for her reaction, testing her, probing for weakness. Claire's eyes narrowed. She replied, calm but firm. "Marcus, I appreciate your input, but any changes must benefit the company as a whole, not individual agendas." Marcus smiled politely, but his eyes were sharp, calculating. He wasn't done, I felt it in my gut. He was orchestrating the danger. After the meeting, I followed Marcus discreetly. He stepped into the elevator, clutching a briefcase. I trailed him to a private parking lot. From behind a pillar, I overheard him speaking on his phone. "Yes, she's aware now. But if she resists, we accelerate the plan. The CEO must fail or step aside." My fist clenched. This wasn't just corporate sabotage, it was personal. Someone wanted Claire gone at any cost. I realized the scope of the danger. Marcus wasn't just a disloyal executive, he had influence, connections, and intent to harm. Over the next week, Claire began noticing small, disturbing incidents. Files mysteriously deleted sensitive emails, redirected security cameras, showing blank screens for minutes at a time. She confided in me late one evening. "Daniel, I thought corporate politics was just office drama. But this, it feels different. Targeted, deliberate." I nodded, knowing she was right. It wasn't just business, it was a shadow war, and she was at the center. Then came the most dangerous moment so far. Claire received an anonymous delivery, a folder containing confidential financial documents and a note. "You should have listened. Step down or face consequences." She opened it cautiously. Her eyes widened as she realized the level of exposure. I took the folder from her hands and scanned the documents. There were discrepancies, hidden liabilities, embezzlement trails pointing to Marcus and a few select allies on the board. Claire's face paled. This could ruin the company." "Yes," I said, "and they're willing to take it all down unless you act." That night I met with Jordan, the CFO and Claire's most trusted ally. "Marcus is dangerous," I explained, showing him the folder. "Look at these numbers, he's manipulating finances. If Claire signs the wrong contract, the company could collapse. And he's planning it carefully." Jordan's face turned grim. "Then we need proof, and fast. Claire can't fight this alone." We hatched a plan. 1. Collect irrefutable evidence of Marcus's manipulation. 2. Protect Claire from immediate threats. 3. Expose the conspiracy to the board before Marcus could act. Time was running out. The longer we waited, the more powerful Marcus's control would become. 2 days later, Claire was summoned for a private board vote on a critical acquisition. The entire decision had been manipulated by Marcus to make her appear incompetent. I knew this was the perfect trap. If she made the wrong move, he would have justification to remove her. I whispered, "Trust your instincts, stick to the facts. Don't let them manipulate you." She nodded, determination burning in her eyes. She was ready to face the storm. The day of the vote, tension crackled like electricity. Marcus presented fabricated reports. The board members hesitated. Claire remained calm. When he finished, she rose slowly, took a deep breath, and began her rebuttal. "Ladies and gentlemen, the facts you've been presented with are misleading. Let's review the financials accurately." She revealed internal audit reports we had prepared, showing Marcus's manipulation, fraudulent numbers, and illegal activities. The room went silent. Marcus's face tightened. He realized he had underestimated her, and underestimated the alliance she had quietly built. But the true revelation came when Jordan unveiled emails we had recovered from encrypted servers. They proved Marcus had been plotting for months. not just to sabotage Claire, but to secretly sell company assets for personal gain. Board members gasped, some whispered. Some glared at Marcus. Claire's voice, calm but commanding, rang through the room. You've all seen the evidence. The decision isn't just about me. It's about the integrity of this company. Marcus, your actions are unacceptable, and I will ensure accountability. Marcus stammered, cornered. The board unanimously voted to suspend him pending investigation. Claire turned to me, exhaustion and relief etched on her face. You saved me, she whispered. No, I said, you saved yourself. I just made sure the shadows didn't blind you. She smiled faintly, tears glimmering. For a moment I thought I would lose everything. I held her hand, knowing the danger had passed, but the lesson remained. Success can be a battlefield, and the highest positions attract the darkest schemes. The relief after the boardroom showdown was short-lived. Claire and I walked to the parking garage, believing the immediate threat was contained. I was wrong. A black SUV waited near her car. No license plate. Windows tinted, engine running. My gut tightened. Daniel, do you see that? Claire whispered, her voice barely audible. I nodded. Stay close to me. Don't panic. Before we could move, the SUV door opened. A figure stepped out. Marcus. His eyes were cold, sharp, calculating. Impressive, he said, a smirk playing on his lips. You've exposed me, but you still don't understand what you're up against. Claire instinctively stepped back. I placed myself slightly in front of her. You've been manipulating the company for months, I said firmly. It ends tonight. Marcus laughed, low and threatening. Ends tonight? No, it really begins tonight. You think the boardroom vote mattered? That was a small battle. The war is just starting. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small envelope. Inside is a list of your closest allies, he said, his eyes fixed on Claire. Cross one word of my plan, and they'll pay the price. Friends, family, everyone. Claire's hand trembled. Marcus, you can't. Yes, I can, he interrupted sharply. And I will. You were foolish to think winning a vote would protect you. Some battles are fought outside the office. Some are personal. My jaw tightened. I glanced at Claire. Fear was in her eyes, but not defeat. She stood tall, shoulders back. I will not be intimidated, she said. Not by you, not anyone. Marcus's smile twisted. Bold words. Let's see how long that lasts. Before he could take another step, I pulled out my phone discreetly and hit a preset button. A silent alert went to our security team stationed outside. Within seconds, surveillance footage captured his SUV and sent real-time coordinates to our local authorities. Marcus's smirk faltered slightly. You're prepared for everything except me. Suddenly, Marcus lunged toward the car, trying to grab Claire's briefcase. I intercepted him, shoving him back. Step away, I yelled. He shoved me in return, stronger than expected. The struggle pushed us dangerously close to the SUV. Claire screamed, but I grabbed her arm. Run, I shouted. We sprinted toward the elevator bank. Marcus's heavy footsteps echoed behind us. Every second felt like an eternity. The security team arrived just in time, flashing lights, shouts, and armed officers converging on Marcus. He froze, realization dawning. His plan had been exposed too early. Within moments, he was restrained and cuffed, shouting threats as the officers led him away. We stood in the now empty garage, shaking, hearts racing. Claire turned to me, tears streaming. I thought I'd lose everything tonight, she whispered. You almost did, I said quietly, pulling her into a tight embrace. But you didn't. We stopped him together. She rested her head against my chest. I never realized how much danger I was in, how blind I've been to the people around me. All the ambition, the promotions, I didn't see the shadows. That's why I stayed close, I replied. Someone had to watch your back while you focused on your vision. I knew the risk, but I couldn't let anything happen to you. She lifted her head, eyes wide with emotion. You risked everything for me? I nodded. Because you're worth it, because we're worth it. In the following weeks, Claire focused on securing the company. Marcus's network was dismantled, internal audits completed, and employees who had been coerced or manipulated were replaced. Through it all, Claire learned a powerful lesson. Success without vigilance can be dangerous. Trust is earned, and shadows are always waiting to exploit the unaware. I stayed by her side, supporting every decision, analyzing every risk, and ensuring she never faced the shadows alone again. One evening, as the city lights glittered through her office window, Claire looked at me and whispered, I thought divorce was the answer. I thought I needed freedom to succeed. But tonight I realized the opposite. I needed someone I could trust, someone who would fight for me when I couldn't see the danger. I took her hands. You don't need freedom from me, you need support. Partnership, trust. And I'll always be here to protect you from shadows and from yourself. She smiled softly, leaning her head against my shoulder. Then stay, don't leave. Not now, not ever. I won't, I promised. Claire, once isolated in her ambition, now understood that power alone couldn't protect her. It took awareness, vigilance, and loyal allies to navigate the treacherous waters of corporate politics. Marcus had been a lesson, a warning, but also a catalyst. He revealed the dangers hidden behind every corner of success. Claire's perspective changed. She no longer saw leadership as an individual triumph. It was a shared responsibility, a partnership fortified by trust, courage, and foresight. And together, we were stronger. The storm had passed, but the air still carried the residue of tension. Claire stood in her office, overlooking the city skyline. The boardroom battle had been won. Marcus was removed, investigations underway, and the company was safe, at least for now. But the victory was more than just professional. It was personal. Claire and I had survived the shadow that almost tore us apart. I walked to her side. You did it, I said softly. She turned to me, a mix of exhaustion and relief on her face. We did it, she corrected. I couldn't have done any of this alone. I smiled faintly. You almost didn't make it through, Claire. If I hadn't intervened. She interrupted me, placing a hand on my chest. Don't, I see now how much I was blind. My ambition, my independence, I thought I could do everything alone, but I couldn't see the danger lurking behind my success. I almost lost everything, including us. I held her hands firmly. You didn't lose anything, we fought. Together. Over the next few weeks, we focused on rebuilding, not just the company, but trust. Claire learned to rely on allies, to recognize threats before they became crises, and to balance her ambition with caution. She called a company-wide meeting, her voice steady, commanding but warm. We have overcome a significant challenge, she told employees. This experience taught me a valuable lesson. Success is not just about power, skill, or ambition. It's about trust, awareness, and standing together against threats. Our strength lies not in one person, but in our unity. The room erupted in applause. Employees were inspired, not just by her leadership, but by her humility and resilience. That evening, Claire and I returned home. The city lights glittered outside, a calm contrast to the chaos of the past month. I thought divorce was the answer, she whispered as she sank into the sofa beside me. I shook my head. No, divorce would have solved nothing. What you needed wasn't freedom from me, it was partnership. Someone to watch your back, someone to face the danger with you. She looked at me, tears brimming. I see that now. I see how blind I was. And I want to start over, together. No secrets, no misunderstandings. Just us, I held her close. We've already started, and we won't let anything or anyone break us again. In the following months, Claire strengthened her position as CEO. The board was reorganized, with loyal and ethical executives taking leadership roles. Marcus and his collaborators were fully investigated, and the company's assets were secured. Claire had emerged stronger than ever. The trials didn't weaken her. They sharpened her judgment, deepened her insight, and reinforced her leadership. But she didn't forget the personal lesson. True strength lies in trust, in partnership, and in recognizing that ambition without awareness can be dangerous. One quiet evening, Claire and I sat together on the balcony, the city sprawling below us. You know, she said softly, leaning against my shoulder, I almost lost everything because I thought I could do it alone. I thought ambition was enough. I kissed her forehead. Ambition is only part of the equation. Trust, vigilance, and loyalty are what protect us from the shadows. She smiled faintly. And you? You've been my shield, my partner, my reminder that I'm not alone. I wrapped my arms around her, holding her tightly. Always, we're stronger together. And now we know that no shadow, no threat, and no hidden enemy can break what we've built. Months later, Claire's leadership had transformed the company. Morale was high, productivity soared, and the employees trusted her completely. She had grown not just as a CEO, but as a person, wiser, stronger, more aware of the world and the dangers it could hold. And we had grown as a couple. The trials had taught us that marriage, like leadership, requires trust, vigilance, and unwavering support. As we celebrated the company's first profitable quarter since the crisis, Claire raised her glass to me. To partnership, she said, smiling. To trust, I replied. To us, she finished. We clinked glasses knowing that no threat, corporate, personal, or hidden, could ever sever the bond we had strengthened through fire and fear. The danger had passed, but the lesson remained. Ambition is powerful, but alone it is vulnerable. Trust and vigilance protect those we love. Partnership strengthens us in ways independence cannot. Claire and I emerged from the shadows wiser, stronger, and inseparable. The hidden threat had tested us, but it had also solidified our bond, proving that together no challenge is insurmountable. Sometimes the greatest victories aren't just professional, they are personal. And our victory had been both.